And that's what we've got to continue to understand. We're very, very close in certain areas, but what's hurting us as much as anything else is how I've said this the other night, how we're guarding the dribble. And we've got to guard the dribble better. We've got to be in better help position defensively. We've got to take more of an individual pride and commitment and grit in getting that done, but at the same time, we can't get away from helping our teammate. And we're not that far away from being able to put some really good things together. And that's what we've got to continue to understand, but those are tough steps. And youthful teams really struggle a lot of times with time and score situations. How important, and when I say time and score, how important each possession is. And it takes guys a while to learn that, and that's why our upperclassmen have got to continue to help with that as much as they possibly can. And that helps in those situations, but when you start to put stops together, it gets everything going for us. And that's what we just got to continue to understand as we go through this and we get ready for the next game. And because every team has got different strengths, every team has got something you hope that you can try to take advantage of. But at the end of the day, you can't be taken advantage of with the way you guard the ball. And that's what's happening to us, and that's what we've got to get better at, whether we're in man or zone. How's the communication? In the games, not as good, not nearly as good. I think we get too quiet. I don't want to say disengaged, but talk creates engagement. Talk creates empowerment. Talk creates enthusiasm and energy. It refocuses you, and that's what we need to get. And it has to be more consistent. It can't be after a good play, after a made shot. It's got to be when you're at your worst, right? When you're feeling your worst, and that takes guys a while to figure out. But there's no excuse for that. It's got to be better. I mean, it's got to be better. And as much as our on-the-ball defense hurt us the other day, and it's hurt us in some of these games, it's not being in the gaps to give help and give that early support and let the man know we're behind him. We're in position to help him with the ball. So those are all things that have to improve as well.
In the grand scheme of the rebuild that you're doing here, how important was Severe Wheeler?
Oh, I think very important. Yeah, very important. He's getting better all the time. He plays with great speed. He can make a lot of things happen. And we need more from him on the defensive end as well. But the bottom line is he changes the dynamic of the game. He's an infectious player, infectious personality, moves the ball extremely well, getting better as a shooter, can get to the basket, and he creates a lot of energy.
He was telling us that he goes over games with his dad. They Skype or whatever. Does that bother you at all?
Oh, no, not at all. No, not at all. I love his dad. His dad's a coach. He's really been raised well as certainly as a young man, but also as a player. He's a winner. So no, I've had enough conversations with his dad to know his dad sees the game, so sees the game well. I think that's great.
What do you remember about Severe from when you were first meeting him, recruiting him? What stood out to you?
I remember seeing him in high school, but it was more in the AAU, and he was already committed to A&M, so it wasn't where you'd pay that much attention, but I always thought he played with a lot of fire. Thought he played really fast. I thought he made his teammates better. And then when we got him on campus, after a couple conversations on the phone, I was really relying on what Amir Abdur-Rahim felt about him. And that was key, right? Because we didn't have the relationship. But after having him on campus, there's no question that we wanted him. I mean, he's very, very easy to be around. And when you're around him, he can walk into any environment and play ball. He can walk into any environment and be successful, in any area of life.
What kind of problems does Carolina present?
Well, they play a lot faster than people realize. So, I mean, they hurt us last year with transition offense. We got to do a great job of getting back. But they're very, very physical. They make it very tough for you to run your half-court offense with the denials and the way they get into the bodies of the screeners. And they know what they want to do. A lot of high-low. They're very quick in the backcourt. So they can play inside out. They can play outside in. But that physicality, and there again, they'll challenge us off the dribble. So many things have got to show up with our accountability. And we have got to continue to make adjustments. That's what the season is. It's tweaks, it's adjustments, it's additions, it's deletions. It's not wholesale changes. And really, I mean, a week ago we guarded really well against Texas A&M. And there were times in the Florida game we guarded really well. There were times in the Alabama game that we guarded well, even though the numbers didn't indicate it. But it's not consistent enough. And that's what we've got to get, and that's what we're going to have against this team, because they'll try to attack us off the dribble or in the post as well.
When you look at Ray's production since SEC play began, what is the cause for his drop-off, and how encouraged were you by him the other night that he kind of
Well, he's got to play. He's got to play consistently harder, longer, and I think what he's got to do is he's got to continue to be even more engaged defensively. With whether it's guarding the post, guarding the dribble, being at help. Those are the type of things. And when he's active and when he's moving, he's a much better player. When he's standing and when he's looking for threes or when he's not as engaged defensively, he's not as good. The fouls come. And so we just need we need that engagement, him to be constantly moving. And I think it's not about, it's about the quality of the play, right? That's what we need to get out of everybody right now. And I think you get guys that they want to find places that, well, I can catch a break here. No, you can't. Not in this game. Not in this league. Not in this level. You can't find breaks really in any level, in the teams you're playing against. And I'm not saying he is. I'm saying that's a part of what happens here and what happens in college basketball. And we've got to work against that. But he's got to stay engaged longer, and he's got to play harder longer.
When you talk
quicker longer.
Are the goals of this team still ahead of you at this point in the season?
Yeah, we're just ready to win and beat South Carolina. I mean, that's really, that's what it really comes down to. So, I mean, it's not like we sit and talk about stuff down the road or spend a lot of time on the past parts. We'll go back and look at some things in the past as we prepare for the present. But I think you just keep your team right in a daily process of what we can control, and that we've got a lot we can control a lot better than what we are.
When you talk about the communication with this team, how tough can that be to sort of coach that and develop that in a team?
It takes time. It's very frustrating, but you can't get frustrated. You just can't. You learn once you're past the 5th grade, you're really not allowed to be frustrated. And so you've got to work through it. And you just got to stay on it. You got to find different ways to get the message across. You got to find different words or different drills, or you just got to come up with different things that keep it creative. But at the end of the day, it's a want to, right? There's a want to this. And you've got to have that want to. And if the want to is not there, then we can't want to play them as many minutes, right? I mean, we've got to get this down. I mean, it's part of the game, and we're not unlike most every other team in the country. Communication is becoming harder and harder. I've been a head coach for 20 years. It's harder every year. It's harder every year. There's so many things that go on that don't make them communicate with one another in those type of situations. We're all products of it. I mean, we could talk for an hour about that, but that's not. It's relevant, but it doesn't change the fact that we've got to overcome those things on the floor, and we just continually look at, okay, what are they telling us that they need? What is this team telling us that they need? Do we need to simplify this? Do we need to do more of that? What are they telling us that they need? And then we need to hold them to that as we go through it when we're watching the film and when we're preparing for games through practice.
For a really serious question, Nick Claxton bobblehead night tomorrow night. When is Tom Crean bobblehead?
I don't know. I've had my bobblehead days. I've had them at Marquette in Indiana. Did I have one last year? I don't remember.
Maybe.
Did I have one?
I think so. I think it was Yante last year.
Yeah, I don't know. That's way down. That's way down the radar scope for me now. Though Nick's looks good. Nick's does look good. It's the color of the hair that he had here. I'm not sure it's the color of the hair he's got in Brooklyn right now, but they did a good job with him. Yeah, they did a good job.
Severe mentioned being part of his high school's program really rebuilding and then coming here and this also being a program in a rebuilding phase. Are there ways that you've seen him kind of look like someone that's already gone through a rebuilding program before?
I didn't know him like that. So I mean, he's pretty consistent, and as we just keep building that consistency as we go, I don't have the vantage point of watching him come up those years. So, but I like what he's doing for us.
Any other questions?
All right. Thanks a lot. See you. Thank you.